Michael Caira, Wilmington's town moderator. On Monday evening, October 16th at 7:30 at the Wilmington High School Gymnasium, Wilmington will be conducting a special town meeting. We're here today to discuss the warrant articles that will be before the voters of Wilmington on that evening. And I'm here and happy to be here with Wilmington's town manager, Buzz Stapczynski.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, this program is being brought to you by the auspices of the Wilmington Community Television, Inc. and Keith Marshall. Keith had asked me if I was interested in participating and putting together a program with Mike before the special town meeting. And we'd like to thank Keith and Wilmington Community TV, Inc. This is part of a requirement that Keith has to do in order to complete his video production course. So we're happy to be working with Keith Marshall on this endeavor.
We sure are, and we might as well get right into the articles. As those of you who know, who have been to Wilmington town meetings before, we conduct the selection of the articles through a random selection process. And although there are several articles numbering from 1 through 13 on the town meeting warrant on that evening, there's no guarantee in which order they'll come up. But we'll make things a little bit easier today, Buzz, and let's begin at the beginning and talk about Article Number 1. And Article Number 1 is to see if the town will vote to amend certain votes that were taken back at the annual town meeting. And this article has to do, as most people know, with balancing our budget here in Wilmington.
Yes. Because of various budget problems that I know you're aware of, and I'm sure the viewing public is aware of, we've had to reduce our budget by $819,000. We have suffered a reduction in local aid, as all cities and towns have, and the way we're dealing with it is by taking about a 2% across the board cut in the town side of the budget and the school side. Because of a generous gift of the Wilmington Redevelopment Authority, the school's reduction is going to be $100,000 less. They gave us $110,685 recently, and I'd like to thank them for their generosity. The town will be voting on a number of departments, and I can go through that quickly for you. The Department of Public Works will be either reducing or transferring their budget in the amount of $84,767. The insurance and bonds account will be reduced by $66,000, and the MWRA account will be reduced by $26,000. The school department will be reducing their budget by $142,000, and Shawshing Tech has agreed to reduce their budget to the town by $24,318,000. This is an agreement that has been reached by all the boards and committees. The school committee, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee have agreed on these cuts, so we appear to be in a consensus mode here going into the special town meeting on the way to resolve our budget problems.
It sounds as if it's going to be left up to the voters now to determine whether, after the boards have gotten together and will be presented a unified front, it's up to them to determine whether or not this is the direction they'd like the town to go in.
That's true, yes.
Okay, Article 2 talks about the actions that were taken again at the last annual town meeting under Article 6 back in April of 1989. And it looks to me as though these are essentially some housekeeping kind of articles or transfer articles.
Yes, these again will help reduce our budget. This will help reduce the impact to the taxpayer. We, at the annual town meeting, transferred money, available funds from the snow and ice account to fund police cruisers and an animal control shelter. We have now decided to defer both of those items and use those to help reduce the amount to be raised by taxation. So there'll be $72,500 in the police department cruisers that will be transferred to reduce police salaries coming out of taxation, and the $45,000 for the construction of dog pound, animal control facility, will be used to reduce the amount coming out of taxation for firefighters' salaries. The appropriations for those two departments will not be reduced or increased, but the amount coming from taxation will be reduced.
So it's clearly a question of priorities at this point in order to meet. So another one of those articles which asks us to amend actions that were taken at a previous town meeting, in this case Article number 5 of the annual town meeting in 1989. Buzz, can you tell us a little bit about what Article 3 does?
Yes, Article 3 is basically a housekeeping article. We have to transfer some money that we raised at the annual town meeting. We have to transfer it out of our insurance reserve account. It's something that we should have done at the annual town meeting, and the town accountant has informed me that in order to tidy things up with the Department of Revenue, we need to make this transfer.
Okay, and Article 4 asks the town to vote to raise and appropriate the sum of nearly $19,000 for the maintenance of public buildings through a capital outlay account. Can you tell us a little bit about Article 4?
Yes. Article 4 will actually increase the appropriation of the public buildings account by $18,886. And this is because of a fire loss that we had at the Woburn Street School this summer. There was a fire in the boiler room, and we need this money to continue the repair and maintenance of that account. And the $18,000 has in fact been received. It's in the insurance reimbursement account, and this will assist us in continued work in that facility.
Okay. We move to Article number 5, which many of you folks have been familiar with if you've been attending town meetings, as it deals with the establishment of a Wilmington Municipal Electric Plant. In this case, however, this article asks us to rescind actions that were taken in Article 11 of the annual town meeting. And I understand that there is some discussion about withdrawing this article at this time.
Yes. At the Selectmen's meeting on Tuesday night, Jim Stewart asked for an executive session, after which time the Selectmen came back in the open session, and it was the consensus of the Selectmen that they would ask for this warrant article to be passed over at this time because negotiations had not produced a settlement that the Selectmen could take to town meeting.
Are we close to an agreement with Reading Lane?
Yes, we are close. In fact, negotiations have not broken down. I understand that negotiations are going to be moving from every 2 weeks to a weekly basis now, so that we can come to a speedy resolution on this. But the Selectmen weren't comfortable with the status of the agreement at this moment and didn't want to take anything to town meeting that they couldn't stand behind foursquare.
So in your judgment, the actions that have been taken over the past few years at the town meetings here in Wilmington have pretty much brought us to this point in negotiations and have been helpful in terms of forcing a resolution to this problem?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at Article number 6. Article number 6 asks the town to vote to appropriate a sum of money for reconstructing and making the repairs to the heating systems at Wilmington High School.
This is a long-standing issue that has been on our agenda for a number of months. In fact, at least a year, perhaps a year and a half. We've been working on this, I say we, the Permanent Building Committee and the Selectmen and the School Committee, actively now for the last 3 months. We had a meeting in August in the high school library where we had the Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the School Committee together reviewing with the Permanent Building Committee the need for these changes in the facility and the cost and the dollar amounts. We've been working aggressively with our architects, Knightbag and Anderson. They'll be there at the town meeting on Monday night to answer any questions. In fact, we are opening bids on Friday, October 13th, for the project, and we hope that we'll have 50 more or less contractors. We have had over 50 takeout bid specification packages on this, so we hope to have a very competitive bidding session on this when we open the bids tomorrow.
This is one of the so-called debt exemption articles that will come before the voters?
Yes.
Which means that we need to pass this by 2/3, and then what's the process, assuming that this measure passes?
If this measure passes, then we have a special town election scheduled for Saturday, November 4th, at which time then this will come before the voters as a Proposition 2.5 debt exemption vote.
And that'll require a simple majority of the voters at that time.
That will require a simple majority of the voters at that time. That is correct. And at this point, we anticipate the prices to come in around $1,000,001. That's our estimate right now. Hopefully, as I said, the pencils will be real sharp and it'll be less. But using $1,000,001 as a basis, the cost to the taxpayer first year be approximately $19.80 for the average assessed value home in Wilmington.
No, all right, so less than $20 on the average assessed
That's right.
home. All right, Article 7 is the second of the two debt exemption articles, and this article asks the town to appropriate a sum of money to remodel or reconstruct or do whatever repairs are necessary at the Barrows Auditorium, which is the high school auditorium.
Yes, this is an article at this very moment will be passed over. The selectmen met with the Permanent Building Committee on Tuesday night and spent quite a bit of time discussing the status of the Barrows Auditorium, and it was decided at that point that we're not ready as a town to go forward and do the necessary architectural or engineering studies until we look to see if there are other alternatives for coming up with that money. And there may be, between now and the annual town meeting, we may be able to use funds available within the Permanent Committee budget to fund the necessary work.
So this decision right now to pass over doesn't in any way lessen the town's commitment to taking care of that auditorium, which clearly needs to be taken care of.
No, in fact, the town's commitment is even more fortified because as we look at our fiscal problems, we're getting more and more creative in terms of coming up with solutions. If, for instance, we decide to go with a $400,000 package, clearly we don't have that kind of money available for us right now. But what we would do is go out to the community and look for donations. It has been suggested by some people that perhaps we have sponsors for seats. Mm-hmm. A class from Wilmington High School could buy a seat, buy several seats, individuals or companies, groups, civic organizations could buy a seat or whatever and have a plaque, as you see in some churches or other places, you know, named in your honor. The other thing that I talked to the school superintendent about was aggressively seeking some money from foundations or other people that fund these kinds of things, because this is truly a civic center, a theatrical center, community center for our town. And there just might be some money out there in the foundation world that we could go after. So we're going to try to do all that we can so that this does not have to come back to the taxpayer for a Prop 2.5 debt exemption for them.
Well, that's good news. Maybe somebody out there listening will be motivated to come up with a creative idea to help fund the renovation of the auditorium. Article number 8 asks the town to accept a gift of money from the Wilmington Redevelopment Authority. It'll probably be the most pleasant article that'll come before the town. I don't think it's a gift horse in any way, do you? I think it seems to me as though it's a result of different town boards getting together, and the Wilmington Redevelopment Authority is obviously responding to a need.
They sure are. The selectmen have thanked them, and I want to thank them again for their generosity. That's $110,685, and we'll be using that for offsetting the school reduction by $100,000 and the town needed reductions by $10,000. So thank you very much to the Wilmington Redevelopment Authority.
Okay. Article number 9 is one of those articles that appears before the town meetings at various times, and this asks to accept several streets as town ways. The streets specifically are Blanchard Road, Great Neck Drive, Palmer Way, Douglas Avenue, Fox Run Drive, Cajun Way, Vallon Lane, Gloria Way, Research Drive, Tomahawk Drive, Gertie Street, Pilcher Drive, and Flagstaff Road. And it seems a little strange that we're accepting them as town ways when most people understand that they're out there and they're familiar with those streets. So maybe you can tell us just what does it mean to accept a particular street as a town way?
Right. The technicality means that this street will be forever in the town's possession. It is property of the town, and that means that we have the maintenance, the repair, the snow plowing, etc. of that street in perpetuity. But it also means that it has to be built to our specifications, which are very strict. And these streets have been built in that fashion. And they're going to last for, hundreds of years because they've been built properly, and we have no problem accepting them.
Okay, Article number 10 is a zoning bylaw article that asks the voters to amend the zoning map of Wilmington, a particular parcel of land, about 2 acres or so, from residential 60 to residential 20.
Yes, this is a warrant article. As you said, it's a petition, and we will have maps available at the town meeting to show the voters exactly where the site is. But for the people here watching, I would like to just take a minute and show. Right. Yes, this is Article 10. It's a plot of land approximately 2 acres in size, located on Hopkins Street, not far from the Shawsheen School on Shawsheen Avenue. And this site is currently zoned R60, and they're asking for it to be rezoned to R.
From your little trip to Hopkins Street, we have
Held on October 3rd. The petitioner, Mr. Greer, presented the chairman of the Finance Committee, Neil Weisner, a letter indicating his desire to withdraw the article.
Okay, and so that article then, in fact, will be withdrawn. Article number 12 asks the town to authorize the Board of Selectmen to file a petition with the state legislature to authorize the town to abate an amount of $330.16 for a sewer assessment that had been imposed on residents of 3 Jones Avenue.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Krasinski had come into the town hall asking for a sewer abatement, and they had missed the deadline. So the only way we could handle this properly was to have a warrant article at an annual or special town meeting, which would require a special act of the legislature. We view this as housekeeping, and I'm sure the legislature will take care of this, no problem.
Okay, and the final article will be Article number 13, and it asks the town raise and appropriate the sum of $3,700 for the purpose of taking by eminent domain a parcel of land located on Bowden Street, which is off of Burlington Avenue, and this is to be taken in conjunction with affordable housing, as I understand it.
Yes, this is a 4,500 square foot parcel that sits in the middle of town-owned land, and at some point we would like to acquire it. Unfortunately, the financial climate is not appropriate right now to purchase it, but we have been in negotiations with the landowner, and at some point we would like to acquire it and add it to our catalog of town-owned land.
So there you have it. Those are the articles that are going to be before us. It sounds pretty painless. Believe me, it's easy to participate at a town meeting, and we encourage everybody to join us at 7:30 at the high school gymnasium on Monday evening. We promise that we'll give you as efficient a town meeting as possible, but in order to run it, we need your participation and we need you to be there. I'm going to relax now, and Buzz Stapczynski, our town manager, is just going to chat with you just for a few minutes about some of the good things that are going on in Wilmington.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, for those of you who watch Channel 30 regularly and participate in selectmen's meetings, etc., you know that we don't have a lot of time on our agendas to get into some of the good news that's going on with town departments. So because of this opportunity, I'd like to go into several things that our departments are doing that I think the public ought to know about. I'll start off with the library. The library has 2 Apple computers that are available for public use, and there is absolutely no charge for them. They have 30 programs, including word processing, mathematics, and language and study skills. All subjects are designed to provide assistance in learning a particular subject. So that is available to the public at no charge at the library. The Conservation Commission has posted signs indicating public access to conservation land. There are 4 signs that have been put up recently. The one that I've noticed coming to work is on Glen Road by the railroad tracks there. It's a very attractive sign, and we're putting up more of them around town to indicate public access to conservation land. The town clerk is busily preparing for the 1990 federal census and also the 1990 state census. She is presently checking the accuracy of names and addresses of town residents. It's very important that the local census be conducted in January because it has to closely reflect the federal census, which will be done in April. If you're a new resident to Wilmington or have recently moved in, please contact the town clerk as soon as possible to make sure that you're on our list of residents. You can contact her at the town hall, 658-3311 or 658-2030. On a bittersweet note, the taxes have gone out for the fall. They're preliminary tax bills, and they're due and payable Monday, November 6th. Since the state aid money will only be coming in twice a year instead of quarterly, we need your tax bills to be paid promptly. If you have a problem with the bill, please contact the Finance Director, Joseph Peters, at the Town Hall, 658-3311 or 658-3531 to straighten out any problem, or if you haven't received a bill. Regarding the Board of Health, they're continuing to sponsor their popular radon program. If you'd like to take out a home radon testing kit, please contact Greg Erickson at the Town Hall. So far, 200 people have taken out kits and have had their homes tested. The public health nurse is holding a free flu clinic for Wilmington residents on Saturday, October 14th from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Town Hall. We encourage all residents to take advantage of this program. The town has a new planning director, Janet Stearns. Janet came on board in August of this year, and we welcome all people to come by and say hello to Janet. The Recreation Department had an overwhelmingly successful summer program. The beach, the Tiny Tots, the playground at the Town Hall were all very well attended. For the fall, they're planning their Horribles Parade, which is a very popular event, that will start at the police station on Adelaide Street. I believe it's approximately 5:30 or 6 o'clock p.m., but you can check that by calling the Recreation Office at 658-3311 extension 338. But we encourage all people to, and children, bring their children to participate in the Horribles Parade. It starts at the police station, the parade down Church Street, and we have refreshments and awards given out at the tennis courts at the high school. I'm happy to announce that on October 14th, we will be starting the town's recycling program. Our drop-off recycling center is located on Old Main Street at the Wilmington-Woburn line, and they'll be accepting paper, aluminum, and glass, clear, brown, or green glass on Saturdays from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Also, because this is the opening weekend, it will be available to the public on Sunday, October 15th from 1 until 6 p.m. Also, we will be accepting leaves for composting in several weeks, but watch the cable TV programs or watch the newspaper for an ad on when we will be accepting leaves for composting. The DPW has been very busy this past summer refurbishing the town's football field. We've resodded the football field, and we've constructed a storage building at the track and football field, and that project was done in conjunction with the DPW and the Public Buildings Department personnel. Presently, the department is working on straightening the curve on Burlington Avenue between Harris Street and Deming Way, so if you're driving that way, please drive with caution. Also, we are working on straightening out and rearranging the entrance to Deming Way. I would like to thank the Wilmington Women's Club, in particular Mrs. Brennan, for their generous donation of a tree that they will have planted in their name at the Silver Lake on the land that's adjacent to Main Street by the barber shop and paint store. The Public Buildings Department has been busy this past summer replacing underground tanks. We have the funds to replace 7. So far, we've replaced 3 at the Boutwell North and West schools. The The Shawsheen School is almost done, and when that's complete, we will start on replacing the underground fuel oil tank at the town hall, the library, and the cemetery garage. They've also recently installed handicapped ramps at the former town hall, the current Council for the Arts building. And last but not least, I would like to thank the fire department for their aggressive efforts in promoting Fire Prevention Week. That runs from October 9th to October 15th. They have been in the schools all week promoting fire prevention, and on Sunday, October 15th, they will have fire prevention open house at the fire department on Church Street. That will be open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The public is invited to attend. They will have live demonstrations of residential speakers, sprinklers, fire prevention puppet show put on by the high school students, motor vehicle extraction and helicopter use, modern fire apparatus display, and for the children, balloons, helmets, and smoke detector raffle and more. So all are encouraged to attend. In addition, I'd like to report that Fire Chief Dan Wandel is convalescing nicely from his heart surgery at home. I'm sure he would appreciate get well cards from his many friends in town. Also, the fire department has recently received their new ambulance, and that vehicle is presently on duty. In regards to the police department, I'm happy to announce that the traffic accidents are down 29% over the past 3 years, due largely to traffic enforcement efforts on the part of the police department. The increased efforts of the police to enforce motor vehicle laws is paying big dividends in avoided injuries and property damage. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes the, Mr. Moderator, that concludes the good news on behalf of the town.
It's clear there's a lot of good news and a lot of good things going on in Wilmington and Offer. It's also good to hear that Chief Wandel is on his way back to the road for a speedy recovery. We hope that all of you will consider joining us Monday evening. And in addition to doing that, maybe consider becoming a part of the town's government. You can do that in a number of different ways. You certainly don't have to run for office to do that, although that's one way and one very important way. Another way, as Buzz has explained on so many different occasions, is to join a town board or committee and to become active in the community. I know you have a talent bank, Buzz, a reserve of names of people who might be interested in fitting in one way or another, and
yes.
How can people become involved?
Well, we actively encourage people to participate by giving us their name, and basically we ask them to fill out a small, brief form that gives us a little bit about them, their phone numbers and their address, how can they be contacted, their areas of interest, perhaps their business affiliation if you care to tell us. And many people go so far as attaching a resume, so we have an idea of their technical background and expertise. But we have a number of openings on various boards, committees, and commissions that come up from time to time. And we keep the names on file so that when a vacancy comes up in a board, we can have some people who have expressed an interest in participating, helping with the town's business.
Great. So while you are considering the opportunity to join Wilmington's town government, please don't forget about the town meeting, which is Monday evening at 7:30. It's important that you be there. We'll be there, and I've enjoyed this opportunity to be here today with you, Buzz.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. And I appreciate Keith Marshall and the Wilmington Community TV for affording us this opportunity to talk about the special town.